Being alone is often misunderstood in contemporary life. In a world saturated with noise, constant connectivity, and social expectation, solitude is frequently equated with loneliness, emptiness, or failure. Yet ancient wisdom, particularly that of Lao Tzu, teaches that solitude is not merely the absence of company, but a fertile ground for self-understanding, clarity, and inner harmony. Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, emphasizes that being alone can be a conscious, intentional choice that nurtures the mind, body, and spirit, while loneliness arises from disconnection, attachment, or misalignment with the natural flow of life. Understanding the distinction between being alone and being lonely is essential for cultivating peace, resilience, and personal growth, and it provides a guide for living meaningfully in an increasingly chaotic world. According to Lao Tzu, solitude is a natural and restorative state that allows one to attune to the Tao, the underlying flow and order of the universe. The Tao is present in all things and governs the cycles of life, growth, and transformation. By withdrawing from external distractions and societal pressures, individuals can perceive the subtle patterns of existence, understand their place within them, and act in harmony with the natural order. In this perspective, solitude is not isolation from life, but a deep engagement with the principles that govern life. It allows for reflection, insight, and the cultivation of virtues such as patience, simplicity, and mindfulness, which cannot be fully developed amid constant noise and distraction. Being alone provides the space to observe one's own thoughts and emotions without external interference. Lao Tzu teaches that self-knowledge is the foundation of wisdom. In the quiet of solitude, individuals can examine their motivations, desires, fears, and impulses. They can recognize patterns of thought that lead to unnecessary suffering, attachment, or imbalance. Loneliness, in contrast, arises when this self-reflection is absent or resisted, when one depends on external validation for identity or worth. By embracing solitude intentionally, one gains mastery over the mind, reducing the power of reactive emotions and cultivating inner calm. The ability to be present with oneself fosters a deep sense of completeness, mitigating the longing that produces loneliness. The Taoist understanding of solitude emphasizes alignment with simplicity and natural rhythms. Lao Tzu repeatedly advocates for moderation, detachment, and non-striving as essential to a harmonious life. Solitude offers the opportunity to simplify, to remove extraneous concerns, and to focus on what truly matters. In solitude, one can shed societal expectations, material attachments, and superficial ambitions, reconnecting with the core of existence. This intentional detachment does not indicate disengagement from life, but rather a conscious prioritization of energy toward meaningful, harmonious action. Being alone becomes a practice of purification, an opportunity to refine thought, behavior, and attention. Engaging with the world from a position of solitude enhances relationships rather than diminishes them. Lao Tzu suggests that clarity, calmness, and centeredness are necessary to relate authentically with others. When one is comfortable being alone, interaction with others is not motivated by dependence, neediness, or fear of abandonment. Instead, relationships emerge from choice, presence, and genuine engagement. Solitude cultivates emotional independence, allowing individuals to connect with empathy and understanding rather than projection or attachment. In this way, being alone is a precursor to deeper social harmony, as one brings completeness and centeredness to interactions, rather than seeking others to fill internal voids. The practice of solitude involves disciplined attention to the present moment. Lao Tzu emphasizes that life unfolds in the present, yet modern minds are often preoccupied with past regrets or future anxieties. In solitude, one can observe the flow of experience as it arises, cultivating mindfulness and receptivity. This attentiveness allows for the recognition of subtle opportunities for growth, action, and understanding. Loneliness, conversely, is often exacerbated by rumination, desire for connection, or dissatisfaction with the present. By embracing the present within solitude, one nurtures resilience, clarity, and a profound sense of peace that is not contingent upon external circumstances. Lao Tzu's teachings highlight the importance of internal harmony, which is cultivated through solitude. Being alone provides the space to reconcile conflicting desires, integrate experiences, and develop self-mastery. In solitude, individuals confront internal conflicts without distraction, learning patience, humility, and acceptance. Loneliness occurs when these conflicts are avoided, suppressed, or projected outward, creating agitation, restlessness, or dependence on others for emotional regulation. Solitude fosters internal equilibrium, enabling the individual to navigate life's challenges with calmness, insight, and adaptability. The Taoist approach to solitude also involves creative engagement with one's inner and outer environment. Lao Tzu encourages observation, reflection, and responsiveness to natural processes. In solitude, one can cultivate creativity, intuition, and insight, drawing inspiration from the rhythms of nature and the cycles of life. Being alone in this sense is an active process, involving attentive awareness, thoughtful reflection, and intentional action. It is not mere passivity or withdrawal, but an engagement with life at a deeper, more connected level. Loneliness, by contrast, is passive, characterized by lack of connection, perception, and purpose, often producing emptiness rather than enrichment. Spiritual cultivation is another dimension of being alone that Lao Tzu emphasizes. Solitude allows for contemplation of deeper truths, exploration of meaning, and attunement to spiritual principles. The Taoist sage seeks alignment with the fundamental currents of existence, developing insight into the nature of self, time, and being. This alignment cannot be achieved through constant external stimulation or dependence on others. By embracing solitude, individuals develop the capacity to observe without attachment, act without compulsion, and live in harmony with the natural order. Spiritual depth is thus cultivated through intentional engagement with solitude, transforming it into a source of insight, calm, and strength. Discipline and simplicity are interwoven with the practice of solitude. Lao Tzu's philosophy encourages the reduction of unnecessary complexity in thought, lifestyle, and relationships. Solitude provides the environment in which one can disentangle from distractions, identify essential priorities, and cultivate consistent habits aligned with core values. By mastering self-discipline in solitude, individuals gain autonomy over impulses, desires, and attention. This self-mastery creates resilience against external pressures, reducing susceptibility to manipulation, comparison, or dissatisfaction that often underlies loneliness. In this way, being alone is both a practical and philosophical training ground for personal growth and freedom. The Taoist approach also recognizes the natural cycles of engagement and withdrawal. Solitude is not permanent isolation but a deliberate alternation between inward reflection and outward interaction. Lao Tzu teaches that timing, flow, and rhythm are essential to harmonious living. By embracing periods of solitude, individuals recharge, reflect, and cultivate depth, which enhances effectiveness, empathy, and authenticity in social engagement. Loneliness, in contrast, arises when this rhythm is disrupted, when social connection is pursued out of compulsion, or when solitude is experienced as deprivation rather than opportunity. Understanding and respecting these natural cycles is central to maintaining balance and well-being. Observation of nature is a critical practice within Taoist solitude. Lao Tzu encourages awareness of the natural world as a mirror and guide for human life. By spending time alone in contemplation of natural rhythms, individuals internalize principles of balance, adaptability, and interconnectedness. Solitude becomes a conduit for learning from patterns of growth, decay, renewal, and interdependence in the environment. This practice deepens insight into one's own life, revealing opportunities for harmony, resilience, and intentional action. The ability to perceive the lessons of nature in solitude strengthens understanding, patience, and emotional equilibrium, distinguishing being alone from mere loneliness. Emotional independence is a key outcome of practicing solitude in the Lao Tzu tradition. By cultivating a grounded sense of self, individuals reduce dependency on external validation, approval, or companionship. Emotional stability emerges from inner resources, awareness, and self-knowledge. This does not imply avoidance of relationships, but rather the capacity to engage with others freely, without anxiety, projection, or co-dependence. Being alone becomes a source of empowerment, confidence, and clarity, in contrast to loneliness, which stems from reliance on others to fill emotional or existential voids. Reflection on purpose and values is another dimension of solitude. Lao Tzu's wisdom emphasizes living in accordance with the Tao, which involves acting with integrity, humility, and alignment with natural principles. Solitude provides the necessary environment for this reflection, enabling individuals to evaluate their actions, goals, and intentions. Through contemplation, one clarifies priorities, develops discernment, and strengthens the capacity to act consistently with principles. Loneliness, by contrast, often produces distraction, aimlessness, or dissatisfaction, as the absence of reflection prevents alignment with enduring values and meaningful purpose. Solitude also cultivates patience and endurance. By confronting silence, emptiness, and the absence of immediate gratification, individuals develop tolerance for discomfort and capacity for long-term perspective. Lao Tzu encourages embracing simplicity, moderation, and non-striving, principles that are reinforced in periods of intentional solitude. Patience, self-control, and presence cultivated in solitude enhance effectiveness, resilience, and clarity in both personal and social life. Loneliness, in contrast, often generates restlessness, agitation, and craving, highlighting the difference between conscious solitude and unintentional isolation. Being alone in Lao Tzu's philosophy is also a source of creativity and insight. The mind, freed from constant social stimulation and distraction, can explore ideas, cultivate imagination, and perceive subtle patterns that are otherwise overlooked. Solitude encourages the development of intuition, reflection, and thoughtful action. It fosters innovation, clarity, and the capacity to respond to challenges with insight rather than reaction. Loneliness, in contrast, lacks this intentionality and often produces passivity, dissatisfaction, and emotional turbulence. The practice of mindfulness is intertwined with solitude. Lao Tzu's wisdom encourages attentive observation of thoughts, sensations, and the environment, cultivating awareness and presence. Solitude provides the space for deep listening, reflection, and alignment with natural principles. Through mindfulness in solitude, one cultivates clarity, balance, and emotional equanimity. Loneliness, by contrast, is characterized by distraction, attachment, and longing, illustrating the difference between intentional solitude and unfulfilled isolation. Ultimately, being alone, according to Lao Tzu, is a deliberate, empowering practice that nurtures clarity, resilience, and alignment with the natural order. It involves ethical reflection, emotional mastery, observation of natural rhythms, and cultivation of patience, creativity, and insight. Loneliness, by contrast, is a reactive, involuntary state stemming from disconnection, attachment, or lack of self-awareness. By embracing solitude as a conscious, reflective, and harmonious state, individuals cultivate inner richness, balance, and freedom, transforming what is often feared into a profound source of wisdom and strength. The Taoist approach teaches that solitude is a path to understanding the self, connecting with the natural world, and developing clarity of purpose. It provides the conditions for self-mastery, emotional independence, creativity, and spiritual insight. The capacity to be alone without loneliness enables individuals to engage fully with life, relationships, and work from a grounded, centered, and resilient position. Lao Tzu's wisdom reveals that the power of solitude lies not in escaping the world, but in deepening one's engagement with it through reflection, balance, and alignment with the Tao. Solitude becomes a source of inner freedom, enabling a life of insight, integrity, and harmonious presence. Being alone is thus a practice, a state of intentional alignment with the natural order, and a space for cultivating virtue, wisdom, and emotional stability. It strengthens autonomy, patience, and resilience, providing a foundation for authentic engagement with the world. Lao Tzu's teaching distinguishes between loneliness, which is reactive and dependent, and intentional solitude, which is proactive, reflective, and empowering. By embracing solitude as a conscious choice, individuals cultivate inner peace, clarity, and self-mastery, demonstrating that being alone can be the most profound source of strength, insight, and fulfillment.